the moment you've been waiting for. Classified crime is still in the case of Sarah Boone. And today, yes, this day, we are going to look at Sarah Boone's pro se respondent closing argument. So buckle up. It's here, everyone. It's here. Okay. So this was filed 9/30/2025 at 12:38. I am just seeing it today. I did not see it yesterday, but I also didn't check after like 1 p.m. So I think it just got uploaded this morning. But Brian C. Boone petitioner and Sarah K. Boone respondent's written closing argument, the moment we've been waiting for. Respondent Sarah K. Boone, and in her best representation and efforts, submits her closing arguments in opposition of the petitioner's parenting plan, amended and support orders, and all other requests the petitioner is attempting. To begin, the respondent would like to address the section of alimony. Of course, that's what she wants to start with. And the petitioner's motion for modification of alimony filed April 12, 2022. Respectfully, before this honorable court considers this request, the respondent asks that judicial notice be taken of her pending motion for contempt. It's not pending. I believe it was already ruled on. I'm going to pull that up. Pause, please. So this was her motion for contempt that she filed on 4/11/23. It's just one little page here. This was when Judge Dean was on her case. And these are the court order following the case management conference they had. This was in October 2023, where Mr. Bankowitz withdrew. And then it says right here, number 7, the court cannot hear the respondent's motion for contempt regarding unpaid alimony until after a final hearing is held on the respondent's petition for reducing or elimination of alimony. And they cited case law Rosenblum v. Rosenblum before the modification action was heard. So it's not pending. It's that the final hearing had to be held first on his motion to reduce or eliminate. And of course, we already know the respondent expressed frustration, and she's always doing that. And the court explained that the family case is on hold pending the outcome of the respondent's criminal case. So maybe that's what she thinks it means by pending, that they postponed, and that they told her she may opt for a final hearing on the petitioner's petition for alimony reduction and elimination and her own contempt motion, but that the court would have to consider her incarceration when making determinations. So that's why she thinks it's pending, because they said it had to wait until the conclusion of her trial, which they just had the final hearing for. Okay, so yes, that's what she was referring to on April 11th. Filed April 11th, 2023 against the petitioner, whom has willfully failed to comply with court-ordered alimony obligations by neglecting to pay ordered alimony to the respondent prior to filing this petition to modify. Yes, that's because he filed the petition to modify. So I guess she's saying he willfully complied before. Okay, to the respondent prior to filing this petition to modify her petition? I don't understand what she's saying. Is she saying that Brian failed to comply prior to filing his petition and not this petition? Maybe she was dictating to someone over the phone. I don't know. Under Florida law, alimony obligations are court enforceable and cannot be ignored without consequence. Section 6.8 Florida statutes governs the award of alimony, and when such an obligation is established, the paying spouse must comply absent modification by the court. Further, Section 6114 Florida statutes explicitly allows for enforcement actions and contempt proceedings when alimony remains unpaid. Florida courts have consistently held that failure to pay court-ordered alimony constitutes grounds for contempt, as these obligations are not optional. They are legally binding. Yes, that's why he filed a motion for modification. It is important to take note that the former husband, Brian C. Boone, was employed full-time during the entire 2 years that he did not meet the requirements of his court-ordered alimony payments. The petitioner cannot, in good faith, request a downward modification while simultaneously standing in violation of the very court order they now seek to alter. Equity demands that one must come before this court with clean hands, and the petitioner's non-compliance bars them from the relief they request until such arrears are addressed. Now, I don't know where she came up with that, where she got that. There's no case law cited for that. Also, that was like a whole different like font size because everything else is super small throughout. So that was kind of weird. So I guess she's saying that he cannot ask for relief until his arrears are totally cleared. But I don't know where she's coming up with that. She's saying equity demands it. Okay, well, who's equity and what are they to this? Like, what are you citing? Okay, you can't just come up with your own. Just because you put words on paper doesn't mean that they're true and that's what everyone else is going to agree to. In the second portion of the petitioner's request, he asked this court to impute income to the respondent for purposes of calculating child support obligations. Respectively, this is improper to do under both Florida law and authority from other jurisdictions. What other jurisdictions? This issue has been addressed in Department of Revenue v. Lamas, and there's a citation there, where the court held that trial courts cannot impute income to an incarcerated individual absent a showing of the ability to pay. The Lamas decision aligns with persuasive authorities such as Lambert v. Lambert, where the Indiana Supreme Court concluded that imputing income to an incarcerated individual is improper because such individuals lack the present ability to earn income. The respondent in this case is serving a life sentence. That is the first time I've ever heard her admit it and not tag the line that she has her pending release and appeal. There is no evidence of present or future ability to generate income or past. Florida law on child support recognizes that obligations must be based on an actual ability to pay, not speculative or non-existent income. That's not true because I feel like she just copy pasted this like right off the Department of Revenue website or something. But we looked at the child support worksheet in the part 1 video that I released in her initial family court hearing, that even though she was unemployed at the time, they calculated her obligation as a minimum wage 40-hour work week in her ability to support the child. That's what they do when someone doesn't have income. I don't know specifically about being incarcerated, but that's what typically they do. To impute income here would not only contradict established law, which she has not cited, it would create an artificial support order. No, it wouldn't. If the judge ordered it, it would not be artificial. That the respondent has no capacity to ever be able to fulfill. What about your pending release and your successful appeal and you're not going to get a job when you get out and ride away into the sunset in your Kia Sorento? With respect to the nature and purpose of child support, it is important to emphasize that child support exists for the best interest of the child. But you're supposed to be talking about alimony, right? Wait, because she's disputing that Brian said she would owe child support because the child's been with him 100% of the time. Is that what she's arguing about? And that she doesn't have the ability to pay. Okay, so that's why she just suddenly switched to child support and is not talking about alimony. Not as a punitive measure against the parent. Florida statutes establishes the child support guidelines and sets forth that child support is always designed to meet the needs of the minor child. The Florida Supreme Court has repeatedly underscored that the focus of child support orders must remain on the child's welfare, not on creating financial leverage between parents. Well, that would be the purpose of ordering it, is for the child's welfare. It's not about you or your difficulty to be able to support your child. It's about that the child deserves to be supported. The petitioner further requests that if the respondent is awarded any monetary relief, such relief should be retroactively offset against alleged back child support obligations. Respectfully, this position is legally and equitably unsound. Why? What are you citing? Are you just saying that it's not equitable because you don't think it is? To allow such an offset would defeat the entire purpose of child support. It would not. It would not defeat the purpose of child support. Child support is to support a child. How is it defeating the purpose of child support? How? Child support is a vested right belonging to the child. Exactly. Not the parent. Exactly. And Florida courts have long held that these rights cannot be waived, even if you're incarcerated, Sarah, bargained away, or retroactively manipulated to serve the financial interests of one parent over the child. So you're arguing against yourself because you are arguing that this would not serve your financial interests and it would serve Brian's financial interests. So you're saying that this is worse for you, so it shouldn't happen. You're not saying, oh, I can't fulfill it and it's not in the best interest of my child. It is in the best interest of your child to be supported by both parents. And it is not in the best interest of your child for a big chunk of money to come out of Brian's pockets into yours while you're incarcerated. It's just not. Your Honor, even if this court were to accept the petitioner's request to impute income to the respondent and allow any relief owed to her to be offset against alleged arrears, the outcome would still provide no monetary support to the minor child. Instead of benefiting the child, as Florida law requires, the result would simply call it even, erasing the petitioner's arrears while simultaneously depriving the respondent of funds she is legally entitled to receive. You're not going to be legally entitled to receive them if the judge rules that you're not. So that's what this whole hearing is about. Number two, this is all you're focused on. If you call it even, then I won't get my money. That's basically what you're saying. It will deprive you of funds. That's all you're concerned about. And you're telling the judge that in plain black and white ink. In effect, this approach would punish her for the petitioner's past noncompliance and reward the petitioner by relieving him of obligations already legally established under Florida law. And relieve him of obligations so he can put those obligations toward your child he is 100% supporting. She could have at least said that she acknowledged he's supporting the child and that it's like she could have at least said something that would give her any kind of redeeming, like, in the judge's eyes, but no, she didn't. The following principle is clear. Child support exists for the benefit of the child, not for the benefit of Sarah Boone, not as a financial tool for either parent. To permit such an offset would shift the focus away from the child's welfare and toward the petitioner's personal gain, undermining both the purpose of child support and the equitable enforcement of court orders. For these reasons, the respondent respectfully requests that this honorable court deny the petitioner's motion for modification of alimony, deny the request to impute income, and deny this request to retroactively offset any potential relief against alleged child support obligations. So she's basically just saying deny everything he asked for, not meet him halfway, not reduce the amount, not say, okay, let's subtract these things that he's been doing for me all this time. None of that. Just completely deny everything he asked for. And that's why you guys didn't go to mediation. It would have been a waste of time and Brian's money. The petitioner's parenting plan suggestions. Why is there an apostrophe S? The respondent in opposition requests the follows. What does this even mean? The petitioner's parenting plan suggestions, the respondent in opposition requests the follows. Somebody doesn't know how to use apostrophes at all. Respondent does not agree with the petitioner's, okay, here you used it, right? Respondent does not agree with the petitioner's amended parenting plan due to it not being in the best interest of the child. Why not? Respondent is avidly seeking to be included in her son's life in every aspect possible and in accordance with Florida law. Respondent should not automatically have her inclusion as a parent continue to raise, contact, and participate in his life, removed, deterred, or reduced due to incarceration. Location differences do not suffice exclusion, nor does one unfortunate event, here she goes with this, nor does one unfortunate event define her as a human being and a mother to her son. But it does define you now. That is all anyone knows you for that didn't know you before this event. And she just reduces taking someone's life as one unfortunate event. It is absolutely abhorrent that she does this. This is the third time I've seen her write this. Hunter v. Hunter states the court ruled that shared parental responsibility must be honored unless proven harmful to the child. And I guarantee you, any guardian ad litem or mandated reporter or anyone who would be serving on the best interest of your child would think that it was harmful to them to be going to a state penitentiary to visit you. The respondent is emphatically asking for this responsibility to utilize in her greatest capacities currently available, regardless of location differences. It's not just location differences, it's where you are located, ma'am. Which she can fully be successful in and continue to enrich her son's life even more, ceaselessly upholding his rights as a child, even while at DOC. Yep, that's where you are, at DOC. And in which he avidly invites and welcomes every day she is in communication with him. Well, that's your opinion. So she uses a lot of unnecessary adjectives to get her point across when she is on a page limit. Place your bets now. Do you think she made the page limit? Florida Statute 6113 affirms both parents have equal rights to participate in their child's life unless clear and convincing evidence proves harm to the child. Taking someone's life, being incarcerated for the rest of your life, to me, would be more than enough clear and convincing evidence. It's pretty much like the winning shot at a basketball game. Like, of all the things that would be clear and convincing evidence of this, this is like one of the top things. The primary reason for the request of a guardian ad litem, the respondent was repeatedly denied. Yes, this judge denied it. Why are you reminding her of that? They don't need it. You're incarcerated for taking someone's life. That says everything they need to know. Request of a guardian ad litem, the respondent was repeatedly denied to emphatically prove there is no such evidence. Are you kidding me? The child also could have reaffirmed his praise for their relationship, which he knows will grow to another positive level once applications for his visitation are finally received, where both mother and son can be reunited in person. So that's another little jab there. For major decisions in the child's life, the respondent should be included in his growth as a young adult, which can help shape him into being even greater, more open-minded, yes, loving and successful. In Lamb v. Lamb, both parents must be consulted on major decisions unless an emergency arises. Yes, but I bet in Lamb v. Lamb, one of those parents was not incarcerated. The respondent's mind, heart, soul, and overall being, which lives for her son, still computes love, understanding. You live for your son. That's how you live. That's how you lived before being incarcerated. Yet no. Still computes love, understanding, compassion, knowledge, wisdom, goodness to provide to her son's life, no matter where she is. She desperately wants to be included, oh, we know, and has not been since her incarceration. Yet none of those hours of phone calls that I calculated up, where withholding of such redeeming qualities to their son from the respondent have been due to petitioner's ongoing decision to alienate her. Here she goes with that. Between party, wait a minute, this is the middle of a sentence. So this ends ongoing decision to alienate her, and then it goes between parties, not to reward a party acting in bad faith. This is the last page. So did they just like cut out a bunch of pages because she went over the limit? Because this is only the fourth page here. So she must have included more than 5 pages, even with this tiny little font. So I don't know what was before this, because it clearly doesn't follow the previous sentence. But it just says between parties, not to reward a party acting in bad faith. The respondent additionally asked this court to strike or dismiss the petitioner's request as nothing more than improper attempt to evade his obligation to pay longstanding alimony arrears. So she's just saying strike his request altogether to not pay the alimony, that she wants that alimony, he needs to pay it, the full amount. No regard for what it would do to her son, no regard for all the other stuff he did above and beyond any other ex would do. Furthermore, the petitioner has alleged that the respondent is the party who has caused chaos and delayed these proceedings. Yeah, I would say you have on both cases. Respectfully, this assertion is contradicted by the record. Is it? On April 18th, 2023, it was the petitioner himself who filed a motion for continuance despite, yes, because you were incarcerated, filing motions for contempt, and they wanted to wait until your criminal trial was over. So they filed the continuance so that it wouldn't be ruled on until after that. We just looked at it. He filed a motion for continuance despite the fact that respondent was prepared to have all pending motions heard more than 2.5 years ago. Yeah, except that they said they would do it, but you would have to be it based on your status of incarceration. So that's what it said. The respondent firmly rejects the petitioner's baseless allegations, even though it's all through her court record, that she is the cause of the delay. You are the cause of the delay. No one else. You are the cause of the delay. Moreover, the choice to retain private counsel is just that, a choice. This is a civil matter and no party is compelled to hire an attorney, but it is in their best interest to do so. Thus, the petitioner's voluntary decision to incur legal fees should not be shifted onto the respondent, particularly when he is already delinquent in meeting his court-ordered support obligations, she says once again. To award fees in this context would effectively reward the petitioner for non-compliance and penalize, with an S, the respondent, an outcome that is wholly inconsistent with principles of equity and fairness under Florida law. Did you type this, Nicole? Because that's like an Australian type thing to have an S instead of a Z. The respondent wishes to remind the court that the petitioner alleges to have paid for a storage unit for 2 years, but has failed to provide any evidence of this. Therefore, that is not how you should have written that. Request to have this deducted from any monetary relief, she should have said the respondent, may be awarded, should be dismissed. So just dismiss the whole thing. I would say this is probably the most reasonable thing she said in the whole entire argument, that he did allege to have paid for it, but he didn't provide any evidence. So of course, anytime somebody says they did something in a court, I mean, it is better to provide receipts. So that's not unreasonable for her to ask for it, although she does know that he did that. She knows he did that. But it isn't unreasonable to request to provide the proof of how long it was, it was being paid for, which I'm sure wouldn't be hard to find. For all foregoing reasons, the respondent, Sarah K. Boone, respectfully requests that this court, A, find the petitioner in civil contempt for violating the court order payments he was ordered to pay while he was employed, and order the petitioner to pay $26,000 in alimony and $2,314 in interest payable under Florida law. So she wants that full amount. B, deny the petitioner's request that he calls even that imputes an income to the respondent for child support. So don't hold Sarah accountable for anything. Don't give her any kind of responsibility for the child. Only give Brian responsibility for paying for for funding, but give Sarah, decision-making responsibility. C, deny the petitioner's proposed parenting plan. So just deny the whole thing, the whole parenting plan that he outlined with specific calls, visits, all of that, and grant the respondents in place of. But did she even submit a real parenting plan? She verbally said a few things in the hearing that she said 1 to 2 visits per month, 1 to 2, blah, blah, blah. She was saying what she wanted, but I don't really feel like she submitted a parenting plan that they can really just replace his with, unless it was in the middle of because I haven't gone over all the 2025 stuff. So I don't think she did, but I could stand corrected. And it just says respectfully submitted on the 2nd day of September, 2025. And in all gratitude of this honorable court's patience, Sarah K. Boone, pro se respondent. But there is no postmark to prove that it was submitted on the 2nd. And then this certificate of service is not in her handwriting whatsoever. It says via U.S. mail and sent to opposing counsel on September 6th. So she waited till the date and submitted it. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Was it everything you thought it was? I wonder, I guess they're including the certificate of service counting as page 5. So this would be 5, 4. They cut out some obviously here, and then they have 3, 2, and 1. So even with this tiny print, I mean, I feel like they left a lot of space they could have just used. And I say they because I know she didn't do this first, but they could have left out some of this flowery language, ceaselessly, whatever. I mean, I just, the typing, the font, the formatting, the grammar, it's all bad. I guess they did the best they could with what they were working with. I mean, I could make it a lot bigger, but just for perspective, this is the print that that if you were holding the paper. This is like probably 8-point font. What do you think? Also, I will be releasing a short. I kind of had a little short video planned for today because I didn't think we were going to get anything, but miraculously we did. And so I will put that out too. It's just a little compilation that I made about a year ago when she was going through her trial. Just a little funny video that I was going to put out today while we're waiting on this, but I'll go ahead and put that out too, as well as this. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to hit the like button. And thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we'll see Judge Jackson's ruling soon. I will continue to check throughout the day.